You leave the life you know on the mainland behind as you churn towards Smith Island. At first glance, an idyllic nugget of land nestled along the eastern shore of one of nature's wonders, the Chesapeake Bay. For generations, many here have made a living off the water, where soft-shell crabs are a delicacy.
Feel the backside of it. That's how they grow.
Oh, yeah.
But what isn't instantly clear to the untrained eye is this island, located about 10 miles from the town of Criswell, Maryland, is sinking, being reclaimed by the water. The eastern seaboard of the United States is losing more land to rising sea levels more rapidly than anywhere else on Earth. No one knows exactly why. It could be the rate at which glaciers are melting in Greenland. It could be subtle changes in the currents in the ocean. But one thing is for sure. Life here on Smith Island, the last inhabited island in the state of Maryland, is washing away. Locals can do little more than watch it happen.
And then everybody started bringing their homes back on this part. The house I was raised in is gone now.
Once fertile soil is turning into marshland. In as few as 50 years, Smith Island as we know it could be gone. Right now, this is what happens when a fierce storm blows through.
You don't get flooded shirts over here. Man, it's just too much high tide anymore. When I was coming up, it's hardly no high tide. Got one of Rose Point there, and they renamed it.
81-year-old Jennings Evans is the anointed expert on Smith Island. There are only about 250 people living on the island today.
Go on down this road here.
And most, he says, just try to ignore the fact the island is eroding rapidly.
Well, it's a natural thing for the people who live here. Like I say, they don't waste much time worrying over it, because they figure at some point, we're going to have to leave one way or the other.
Kristen Smith runs the Smith Island Baking Company. This small shop ships Smith Island cakes all over the United States. This caloric dynamo is the official state dessert of the state of Maryland.
It's a tradition that's passed down from mother to daughter. Lots of people, they say that when you learn how to make a cake, you become a lady here on the island.
Smith says her husband can trace the family tree back 18 generations to the man who founded this island. Like many others, she knows the water is winning the battle, but she's not consumed with the problem.
We've been here 400 years, so none of us feel like that's in our future, but you can see on the moon tides, you can see how different and how much higher the water's coming, or when we get nor'easters or tropical storms, you can see the change, even in my lifetime, but especially in some of the elders' lifetime.
Sea level rise is one of our primary concerns working in the Chesapeake Bay.
Matt Whitbeck is a wildlife biologist for the Chesapeake Marshlands National Wildlife Refuge Complex.
Historically, these marshes just kind of migrated upslope. It's a process that's been happening for tens of thousands of years and will continue to happen. But
as water levels rise, this rich seagrass floating just under the surface slowly dies. And with it, wonderfully rich habitat for all sorts of wildlife is wiped out.
For us, it's very real. We hear a lot of debate whether sea level rise is actually happening. If you come to southern Dorchester County on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake, it is clearly happening.
Amid the well-kept, modest homes, the truth is there. And while residents may choose to ignore the inevitable, experts say it's happening.
These islands, as they are now, will not exist because of erosion / sea level coming up.
Tom Horton is an educator and former environmental journalist who grew up in the Bay and has written books about Smith Island.
This is a real pretty little objet d'art. This is a piece of walnut root. It's hard as a rock. I mean, this thing, I picked it up in the 80s coming out of a bank of low tidal marsh with a lot of other pieces of walnut.
Here's why this solid chunk of walnut is key to Smith Island's past and its future.
Walnut can't grow in a marsh. Walnut needs high, well-drained soils. And I find it coming right out of a salt marsh. And lots of pieces bigger than this. It's very beautiful, but it also means that that place is sinking. And it's eroding. And there were walnut trees growing there, and there aren't now, and other hardwood trees.
Throughout the world, rising tides are slowly engulfing land. At the same time, it's claiming cultures and chunks of history as well.
It's a hard thing to accept. It really is. You know, I mean, these cultures out here are unique, and they're fantastic, and it's wonderful that they're here. And you want to be able to support them as long as you can. But the hard facts are that things are changing.
Smith Islanders know they will eventually surrender to nature. But they won't go easily.
You'd have to take me off kicking and screaming. We wouldn't go voluntarily.
Sean Caleb's, CCTV, Smith Island, Maryland.
Here comes so fast. See? He's mad. He's mad.